Okay, go ahead.
Hi, my name is Farfalla Hu. My topic for today is art and AI. And then before I start, I want to warn you that all the images in this presentation is either related to AI or made with AI. And so art is kind of special for humans because it requires an artist with their imaginations, experience, skills, and artists create objects that's using their emotions to reflect their feelings and then share with others. So art is really a very interesting fact that's based on humans. And then every country has its own like kind of style of art. And then people are asking questions that is AI going to be the death of art? So here's a history of the AI generator. And I didn't write those, but you can find more information at the news.artnight.com. And then back to 2014, there's GANs are developed, which allows computer to generate something new instead of like just create a path or anything. So and then from then I wanted to look at these images to basically first AI art that's ever sold in the auctions over here. No, the portrait. Yes, the portrait there. So that's the first AI art that's sold in the auction. But unfortunately, we don't know what's the first images that's ever created in the human history. So, and then time passed, and then there are more stuff coming in, and then really, 2022 is the year of AI art because back in February, Disco Diffusion was launched, and then the same group who actually did the Mid Journey, and it was online in April, and then also OpenAI's DALL-E 2 was doing their beta testing, and then in the May, Google launches Imagine and Party. Unfortunately, still now it's not able to access, but you can click on the link and see their research paper. And then on July, Stable Diffusion came out, and then they have been running really fast. And then so now there are AI art everywhere thanks to those companies. And I have collect a list of AI generators, and then I believe there's more to come. So how does it work really? If you are familiar with OpenAI, they developed something called like GPT-3 in the past few years. And then so this is a language model. We are able to understand human language and communicate with humans. So while they were training it, they were thinking, what if they can recognize images? For example, if machine can understand what is a koala bear or a micro or motorcycles, and then they were thinking, what if they can create something based on that? So that's really how it started. I'm not going to really deep dive into the algorithm and the models, but instead I'll talk more about the art aspect. Oops. Okay, so you see back in January 2021, this is the first generation of DALL-E. And then you can see this is an armchair that's in the shape of avocado. And then just 1 year later, it was able to do something that's way better. And now it can do something like crazy realistic. And the palms is like an armchair in the shape of an avocado. And then you can see how scary it is, but it's like this event was happened in October, in August 30th, I suppose. And then, so AI art won a art competition that's happened in Colorado State Fair. And
Well, I
then,
have a question though.
yeah,
Do you know if this is an image generated fully from the prompt?
yes,
Or
it will.
without an artist touching it?
Yeah, without artist touching it. It's yeah, it's fully like generated
Like, there was
in
no
major.
post-processing, like.
Yeah, he did
tweaking.
nothing except upscale it.
I never got this results that good. Like how, like I tried with my prompts and stuff, they don't look that good.
Quite astounding. You're seeing people now who are posting blogs about hacking the prompts and all this like baloney, where they're just like treating it as if it's a skill now, where they just spend time
Yeah,
essentially
yeah.
randomly inputting things and getting what they want.
Well, I'm gonna kind of like tell you all the secret about how to do the prompts and all this stuff. And you see, like it seems like AI won again, because last time the AlphaGo beats human with the Go chess. I believe it's in March 2016. So like this time AI art also beats humans. And then for you that are not really familiar with Midjourney, Midjourney is running in Discord. It's kind of like a chat room, a chat software for people to communicate. And then inside of this, you can
How do you get this? How do you, no, seriously, Midjourney, I've tried.
yeah.
I'm not getting anything.
Well,
like,
you
I'm asking,
see,
please give me a figure for my talk.
you see in the middle there. So somebody were trying to use other people's style. So if you are typing like trending on our station or pick a specific artwork artist style, then you can get a better result. Literally. So you see the prompts over there, and somebody is trying to use other people's like name. So this machine will go through the internet and then find all the images that were created by that artist, and then they can generate something that's better, you know. And then this there's another example from this artist Necro. So he is a really well-trained illustrator. He has been working in the industry for more than 10 years, and that's his original work. And then he was able to use Midjourney to create images based on his own style and come up with something on the left. So those three on the left are what AI made. And you can see that there are some words identical to each other.
You ask how people do this, they literally just sit and regenerate images again and again and again until
Yeah.
there's something they want.
Mm-hmm. And you can see there is a copyright problem because artists are not happy about other people use their work to train AIs, and they literally post on Twitter or any other social media and says, do not use my work to train AI and stuff like that.
Interesting. I don't want to be used in a prompt.
And I have a collection of what I did in Midjourney, and if you are interested, you can also click on the link over there. And you see, so by creating multiple variations of a single image, AI is capable of producing something that's very similar but also different. And then because each images are randomly generated, so there will be different results, even two users write on the same prompt. So it's really hard to distinguish why like this is yours and not mine, because we are obviously using the same prompts, right? And then funny thing is that I generated this image on the right based on some other people's like variations on the left. And I didn't come up with this prompt. I'm just doing variations of others. And it was able to create something like this. So
Midjourney.
yeah, Midjourney. So is that really my work? You can see. Yeah, the right is mine, and
No,
then
I think this is like now we're getting into this hive mind because all of this was trained around collective work and produces. It's all our work in a sense, the whole civilization.
oh yeah.
Yeah, well, that's true if the models are open source and publicly available, but if they're behind paywalls, that's like completely a farce.
And then so this is from DALL-E 2, and I write a prompt about like mansions in Marietta, and obviously this is our fake buildings, but you can see how the styles are different because I believe like DALL-E 2 and Midjourney are trained by different like database, so their image style are quite different. So you can see that the results are significantly different too. And to compare more results, so I have used the same prompt to like 3D render for a colorful brain with smoke, and then get from all the AI results.
Here's an idea.
Yeah.
Imagine we can generate MRI and fMRI data with that quality. Then what I do is like, okay, I will write a paper that will prove that the reaction to something is gender specific. Here's my prompt, generate me data that will support my conclusion, which is like that. And then I go and publish, here's my data. And data supports my conclusion. Like I can go backwards, I can like, prompt engineer my data if I can do this to fMRI and etc. Yes, those are stunning. Yeah.
Yeah, like these
are they yours?
Yeah, they're all mine. Everything is mine because I prompted this like
Do you have them on Notion somewhere? Can you share?
Yeah, sure, of course, yes. So like you can see like DALL-E 2, Midjourney, Stable Diffusion, and Wombo Dreamer all did pretty good job.
What did you say? What is the problem?
It's over there, like 3D render of a colorful brain with smoke. That's it.
Yeah.
This was just your first pick, like the first time you put. the
Oh
prompt-
no,
Yeah,
I
you sat there and you
I
could
pick
preview.
yes, I think the best one. I think that will work because you know you have I asked a 3D render of a brain and then smoke, and sometimes they don't give me smoke, and sometimes they don't give me colorful brain. So yeah.
So that's what people are doing with these models right now. They put the prompt in, they generate a bunch of times, get a huge collection of image, and manually choose what they think best fits the prompt.
Yeah.
Based on their.
In all kind of fairness to those people, art is sort of like that. Like the way I draw a perfect circle is like I draw something, and then I get a circle. Or like Michelangelo, I think, was saying about sculpture, take a stone and cut out what doesn't belong. So, but like here, it's like you just take stuff and pick what's good. It's similar, but kind of different, of course. But yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a very different, doesn't require a technical skill to kind of generate the options, right? You're sort of just, it's a, you know, the artist, like Michelangelo, when he says you take away what doesn't look like a sculpture, that's a trained eye to know what doesn't look like a sculpture, right? And then it takes technique to be able to work with the medium in order to get that. With here, you're sort of getting away from working with the medium and just trying to do, people are just doing
But
recognition.
still, you use your
But you're still using an eye.
aesthetics or stuff. But that's our whole civilization is going that direction. Only you're choosing. You're not like you're losing the ability to build.
It's purely consumptive. It's a little scary to me for that reason, because you kind of.
I don't know if I agree with you.
Well,
I think it's purely consumptive, right? I mean, until you have, how do these data sets get generated? It's from people who are creating, and then the model takes those and generates huge distributions of what previously created things look like. And then people can take this, you know, they have maybe some simplified query, which doesn't use the same kind of technique that it took to create the thing. And then it's purely consumptive to create and choose, you know, what is best. I don't think it's anything productive at all. I think it's.
I simultaneously, I'm in a superposition state. I agree and disagree with you, because our whole civilization is like that. We parasites are on the millions generations before us, who were slowly building everything that we have now. But we are doing it more efficiently now with what we have by recombining and building new stuff. So that's
But we are not doing the recombining, right? It is decided by people who create and select what goes into a database. And if they do it indiscriminately, that's, brings a different dynamic into it perhaps. And then they create an architecture that combines these in, some certain way. They train it for some certain amount of time, and they restrict certain kinds of queries and do all this other sort of architecture. And that's the only productive step in the whole process. That's when I, consume and have art over years and years of my life. And then, yes, of course, I do take those things into account when I create things. Everything is just stealing, standing on shoulders of giants. But it's very different from then, like if I just have a list of things that someone puts in front of me and I select, okay, this is what I think best fits my internal idea based on what they put in front of me versus what I sort of produce from myself. Do you
Well,
see
you
the
can change
distinction
the
there?
prompt and sort of, that's also kind of like working with people and grad students. You sort of, you put down the idea and then the idea gets transformed and you just agree with the best outcome, right? You don't control, and that's everywhere in life as well. When we as a society interact and work, is it the German saying, if you want to do it right, you have to do it yourself, and it's unscalable.
I mean, in that case, it is still, the idea is still getting translated and interpreted by a real person who has their own ideas and their own like interaction with the ideas. In the case of, students.
Yeah, there is interaction, and there is interaction here besides maybe whatever training data went to it. But if they allow, or we figure out how to fine tune it with our additional data sets, which is sort of allowed, you can use a prompt image and like draw your own image and, well, anyway, yeah, let's, sorry, that's an interesting discussion. Thanks for.
And I feel like, because AI can generate bunch of really similar ones, and you can actually use your prompts and based on other people's like variations and then seeds. So it will look at the same color of that images, the same compositions and same shapes, and even like same prompts will actually give you a quite different kind of look of a same object. So if R loses its origins, then why do we even need it? And then plus like artists are saying, like if like a user can get like thousands of results, then why should they ever buy art at the first place? So by the way, move on.
Can I interrupt a little bit?
Yeah.
I wanted to contribute to that part of the conversation a little bit, just to throw in a third additional voice. I mean, I kind of agree with Sergey to some extent on his enthusiasm towards like this technology of being able to absorb more and more and be useful and increase productivity. But I also think there's some perspectives that are different than like the technologist perspective, where you would just you're enthusiastic about the technology and what it can do, such as like the legal, like are they violating copyright by basically looking at all this data, prior work, and I'm sure that's either already been decided or will be decided in court. A lot of times technologists don't really like to think about the legal issues, but someday when you work for a company or if you work for a grant, those regulations are going to affect you. Another thing that's I also like to bring up in these kind of contexts is like the sort of like what is the limit as X approaches like infinity here. So like basically if like creative endeavors get absorbed into AI, like to that like such a massive extreme, and like we're kind of like piecemeal taking away like the creative endeavors that humans actually found enjoyment in. I mean, art being like a huge thing that people like to do, and as a job, like there's job retraining, there's like how do you like coach people who have had like their careers destroyed by, or like the thing that they love taken away from them because it's no longer economically viable and that sort of thing. And technologists love to ignore this stuff, which always annoys me because we're not going to really care until like, oh, suddenly they automated away research and development, and then we'll care. But I mean, that's just kind of like the logical outcome of all this. So it's always worth talking about. But that's all I had to say.
I mean, the worry I have about these things is that when you create a sort of sphere of what is generating a kind of inspirational output, be it research or art, and people are creating new things that are entirely generated from that sphere to start, it becomes extremely easy to sort of stay within the bounds of that original sort of data set.
You don't acknowledge that we already do that. That's how all of our societies work. We create that sphere.
But
create the bounds.
we do, but you're conflating scales of interaction and sort of the data set of human experience and world experience and life with the curated data set of a company who has a monetary interest and a an interest of various other kinds of creating these kinds of tools.
It's easy to fork. The good back in the Industrial Revolution, we couldn't fork much, right? When bourgeois came and like the capitalists started, and the old nobility completely kind of got destroyed. Whoever did catch the moment. But now we can fork. Like a GPT-3 is forked into a AI, and they crowdfunded and they made it available to us. The same here. You can have forks, and you can like as soon as the technology is there, we can. I agree with your worry about the company, but then there is even more worry because we are lazy. We will not.
There are barriers,
but we
right?
can.
When you say these things are easily accessible, that's not true, right? They are forkable by someone who has the knowledge in order to understand how this thing works. I don't know if the data sets are fully available. I would doubt that they are. So I think they're not actually truly forkable in the way you're describing. But
well, thanks to Free Software Foundation movement, and I forgot his last name, the guy who came up with Creative Commons license, and like the potential of building on the work of others was realized long ago, and CC licenses are for that, to allow others to build on that. So if we all.
But so there's a difference between the source code of a diffusion model and tools like DALL-E 2 and Midjourney, which are released as user interfaces, which anyone can have access to, and which people are then, you have a much broader pool of access to these tools that are creating all of these new sort of objects that exist out in the world and are affecting people's lives and things like that, versus the very narrow scope of people who interact with it on a source code level and can train a diffusion model from scratch from either the full raw data set, if it was fully released, or their own data set. That's a very different sort of kind of interaction. And what I'm more worried about are these tools, and these are what are being discussed. The guy who makes this piece of art from Colorado just goes on DALL-E 2, pays $15 for 150 credits, and could just click for an hour and generate a piece of art that he is completely curated by the data set and by the interest of OpenAI and the stuff that they have released as a UI and an application. So that's more what I'm kind of talking about.
I'm trying to digest and kind of put connections between what you're saying and what William is saying, because I think the concerns are legitimate. But the sentiment where you're trying to pull with it, I disagree with completely. Like, especially William, you're saying people will lose job, and so then what? We have to stop progress. We have I don't think that is the solution. We should.
I think there's actually. I think that scientists and technologists are uniquely excited about technology increasing to infinity. I think that people who basically go to work, have families, enjoy their weekends, and have hobbies, don't care if they become cyborgs with synthetic brains. So, I mean, I think that it's just I don't think you realize that the limit of AI is probably the extinction of humanity. And that's pretty much my point.
And to put my way in, not so grand a destination, but just to say, the people who make these open AI models and create the application aren't thinking about the, I think, cultural ramifications of what they're doing fully. And that's a much more. Yeah,
this is what I don't understand. So let's say in 10 years, we used a lot of these things, right? Everything based on the scale that Bharat said, everything will become this, right? 99% will become some guy prompting 10,000 times a day and producing 10,000 pictures in 10 years, right? So 90% of everything that we have is essentially this kind of thing. So the models then, what are they learning on? Aren't they learning on the stuff that the model itself has produced that doesn't have an intent, right? What is then, wouldn't that mean that the creativity, that the art itself actually became stale and meaningless? That's what apart from all of losing jobs and whatever, right? Apart from that,
frame the concern very concretely as you're doing, Ashkan, just in terms of the model, right? So if the model in an online learning kind of framework is continually accumulating a larger and larger data set in order to continue training, as the art out there continues to be more and more generated by the model, right, you're going to sort of hit this internal loop of staleness in the model, right? You are creating a model which is only learning to do what it does better rather than doing what we initially wanted it to do, which is reproducing.
I still have, I was going to continue to play my devil's advocate as well. I still have a few days up my sleeve. I think you're giving too much credit to humans' art society as if it is different. Human art.
No, it is. I do not get this. Why you say it's not different? Because the people who generate art, they are not right.
They copy each other, and you can see it.
Yeah, but that is very sorry. That is very different than prompting into something and looking at some of it. Actually, I think these are cool, and I think these have a place.
But think abstractly, in terms of generated result, it is like that. If you take any
intent goes into. I'm not an artist, but I think intent goes. I am pretty sure it is not similar at all. Prompting someone something. It's,
I can explain.
I think you're coming from a very highly reductive view of aesthetics, which is that aesthetics is just a closed loop. And it doesn't.
Just saying that, for example, best artists or something. Yeah, they didn't just understand. They just learn stuff and prompt stuff and said, "Yeah, this is the best art that they can." This is dangerous. And apart from that, it's that technology always.
How different it is. I like
because there is intent.
Dichotomy.
Because there is intent. That is the one simple import. The guy that wants to create art, usually, it's not that, okay, what should I do? Let's prompt brain something, right? They say no. They say, I want to convey this thing.
How do you create art?
Which then I wrote. So I think that I do not think that it's similar at all, because you are reducing what artists do to, it's like reducing what we do to theaters, for example. But that's not what we should do, right? We should understand. Do you know what I mean? We are not just applying stuff, hopefully. We have to learn stuff and apply them correctly. So just saying that researchers are just toolbox users, that is the same as what you are saying about, I think, artists, that they say, yeah, they are nothing. They are just, they are the same. They have been doing the same.
Well, yeah, take drawing for an example, because the drawing requires your patience, time, skills to actually sit down and participate in the whole process. And it's like, well, right now people are still doing the super realistic drawings, which takes years to accomplish. Where, you know, we have we have like like cameras to take photos, and then like. So, in my undergrad, I did a research about why do we need like super realistic like drawings and, you know, and stuff like that. And it's kind of interesting because we want to keep that skill set as human beings, because we were able to do such things, and that's kind of important. And AI is kind of like taking away all these processes because you can just, generate millions of new images and it will take like a couple seconds to do so. So you lose, it's like the format of art, basically. That's how I feel.
Nobody prevents you from actually doing and drawing. So
Yeah, that's not most of the case. But I mean, yeah. Let me continue. So so you can see over here. So you can see over here, we have Novel AI. And I think Novel AI trained their database with the Pixvi. I don't know if you know about that. It's a Japanese art station. Like it's a website that's doing all this character design with 2D or 3D. So you can see, even though I only put like 3D models and it will give me like some sort of human faces. That's never happened in any other AI I used. So and then there are a bunch more, and you see like they all have like certain different styles and stuff like that. And then here are more, but I was
same prompt.
yeah, same prompt.
3D, brain,
See,
smoke,
like
color.
3D render of a colorful brain with smoke. Yes, that I tried them. Like nothing changes. It's just this very simple prompt with all this AI robot. But I was kind of surprised by the disco diffusion because this is, I believe, the one like really older version of the model, but it did a pretty good job. And you can see the smoke are better than others, in my opinion, like from the art aspect. And there is a Chinese one actually who is based on the disco diffusion one, so it's kind of slow, but they kind of mimic something to have a better result. So yeah, it's also running in a chat room, like chat software called Lark. Yeah, so that's something for you. And then also there are more AI generator apps that's coming in because I guess not so many people are really into like computers and then doing prompts all day from their desktop. And now you can, play that with your phones too. And
Do they generate on the phone? Or
yes,
client server?
they generate on your phone. Yes.
Probably is a server though. It's not, they probably don't do the inference in the phone. I don't think it's,
Well, you can say
No, they don't train, of course, no.
but
you
they don't
would
even do the inference in the phone, I would doubt.
They wouldn't.
Probably not, right?
I'm not sure for that.
Yeah, I don't know either. But
But,
I highly doubt it.
I think they would. It's like there was, I forgot what was the filters. When deep learning just started, 2012, 2015, somebody figured out how to add quickly, like super quickly, add filters to images. You may remember them from Moscow, but then Snapchat bought them. But then they figured out how to quickly generate filters on GPU farms, and then like next generation, they like, oh, wait a second, we can do it on the phone, and they came up how to do it right on the phone. And like, so here they come up with optimization methods how to do it right on the phone software.
And just in terms of bandwidth, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me that even a small model that's in megabytes versus serving up a JavaScript web page that has thumbnails embedded in it is probably way faster and bandwidth efficient, even for the smaller models.
Yeah, for this, well, this is essentially the way I'm thinking of this, including GPT-3 and Lambda and all this model. This is the philosophical Chinese rule, right? It's just a database. Again, can you neighbor or not, but it's just a database of stuff that is seen before that it creatively delivers to us. So the database should be stored somewhere. Yeah, if it is in the weights, then of course, pumping it into the phone will be hard.
Yeah, I feel like if you feed the AI with your own like art, then it will kind of like generate something really similar to your style.
So
and
style
that's actually
transfer is easy, but because it's optimization, you can do it on the phone for style transfer. But this flowing through the database based on the prompt and like combining and generating is hard.
True. And then Wombo also have like art, like, but this one is kind of new, but it got like on the second place in the graphic and art like ranking on Apple. So yeah, so these things are really popular right now. And in general, those AI are not really good with human faces or character faces. But this one called R Breeder is really good at creating like faces in general. So what if later other models can train from this data set, and then the result of faces will be significantly
But
better.
all those faces are kind of the same.
Oh yeah, because so how this will do is like I pick a character one and then a character B, and somehow it will mix
Mm.
and become a new one, and that's it. So those two are the parents, and you can do up to 10 different parents, and then it will give you like different results. So and you can pick like how much alikeness to A or to B or stuff like that. So yeah, if you are interested, you can go and take a look. I can play this all day. So move on. Like this is a work that I did for my friends. So you can see first we took a photo of him, and then I was able to cut him out, use Photoshop, and gave him a sofa. And then for the food that's displayed on the table here, I originally have this stock image, and then like DALL-E 2 also have these new features where you can expand your images, and then it will look it will kind of study on the based on your like original images and come up with something that will match the results. So it even generated a food that's kind of like in the same perspective as this. So I was able to just use that as my assets. So that's the result. So to wrap up, well, artists are making jokes like we are still safe because clients need to know what exactly they want. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you. It's a nice presentation.
Yeah, do you guys have any questions or wanna discuss furthermore about like AI and art?
I mean, I, of course, have a lot of thoughts on it, but
Well, we have some time for discussion. So robots are taking our jobs, or like what would be? But think about let's take Iranian culture just to poke Ashkan a little bit. And let's take this wonderful invention of geometric tiling that was supposedly due to Islamic prohibition of depicting humans. And a lot of geometrical, like all of that, I don't know if they discovered Penrose tiling, but like all of the geometrical regular tiles were discovered. But to make those tiles, it required years and thousands of years of generations of artists and craftsmen to craft all of that. Now we have all the wonderful tiles anywhere we want to build something and want to decorate aesthetically, thanks to technologies like that. Or I mean, not AI, but this technology of scale. We can just print stuff. Take one artist, give us a pattern, and we print stuff and we design skyscrapers in any kind of style. So why not treat this technology just like any other technology? It doesn't take away from art at all, because new artists will still create new art, will still become popular, and then the software will be rewritten or retrained to mimic that style because that's now in vogue, and all of that, the rest. But the rest will be designed well thanks to this software.
So I don't think that's true. So I think part of it is true. Artists will still create art. I think people are going to continue to do that. I'm not worried about that. It's the, again, like the cycle of what this model is going to be trained on and the volume of what it's going to be trained on in the future, and difficulty to distinguish between art that is just self-generated by this architecture and things that are, it's truly trying to mimic whatever that means. And the ease at which sort of hard enough for us to distinguish what should go into the model as real art, or human art that we want things to replicate, and things that this just is generating and creating more training samples for itself, I think are going to create problems and are going to create sort of smaller internal loops and norms in art that we need to be aware of. I mean, you have talking about like, one big thing is about like what the norm of beauty is, right? And what counts as beautiful. And when if you put into a prompt, generate a beautiful face, and it generates a very skinny white person, and you create this model that continues to generate these kinds of biases into itself, you can create currents in society which are going unnoticed, perhaps, or go and continue to become perpetuated without sort of external, criticism, unless these things are the cycles of the model are broken.
But I think what you're describing is how our civilization already works. Maybe it's just accelerating. this
Again,
process.
but the scale is different, right? Our civilization
Time
does
scale.
this time scale and the kinds of input that we get as well, right? So you're not, the model has as input other images. That's it. It doesn't get anything else. Humans, we get images and we get other art, but we also have so much more input than that. And yeah, sure, it's all a cycle, it's all perpetuating, but the scale and the diversity of input, which life and humans get, is wildly, wildly different than what these models get.
No, we're not replacing humans with the model.
That's not, I'm not saying that either, but the model is going to get, it is going to continue to get things that it creates as its own input. Because if these things become harder to pass off as sort of human generated or not human generated, it is, its scope is going to narrow, and the diversity of input it gets from other people who are creating art from their wildly more diverse input is dwarfed by the number of people who are just generating art from this model. It is going, that bias is going to become more slanted towards previously existing norm, if that makes sense, within the model.
Yeah, I can understand the training and like collapse and everything, but I don't understand the worry of implication.
Worry is, I'm not against this. Actually, this is interesting because a while back, I don't know, there was discourse about it because Malazan is one of the famous fantasy books. For one of the new books, they use a cover. It's Malazan book of the Fallen. For the new book that is coming, Malazan. I will send it to you again. But for their cover, they used an image, and people were saying, "Oh, it is a little strange," and they couldn't find any site for the artist, right? And then it was understood that it was just AI generated, which was okay because a lot of people actually liked it. But then the discussion was, a lot of people said, "Oh, we should not use it at all for book artists, right? For book, because the people who design cover are paid not a lot. It's usually 500, 200. It's not a lot, unfortunately. So you are putting them out of job." But then some of the authors came, especially the self-published author. They said, "Look, we do not have money usually to pay even that 500 a lot of times. So it is a good thing." So I think, like many other things that we engineers and scientists have generated, this is very good. I'm just saying that we as engineers and researchers and technologists, I think someone used the idea, we are very good at designing things, but we let it just go completely unconstrained. We do not think about the consequences and act before those consequences become way too severe, right? And it is, and the issue that I think a lot of times for AI, for me, arise, this is not the first time we do that as engineers, the scale of the AI is way too big. You can generate thousands and thousands and thousands of art with this kind of things or any other things, right? So the scale matters. So because of the scale, then the issue that arise are in more scale if we are not careful. So that's what I'm saying. I'm saying that we have to think now before, for example, in 10 years, everything become this and we put a lot of artists out of job. And now we have to say, oh, how do we fix it? Because that's what we always do. We say, oh, yeah, we screwed up. Let's fix it, right? And then we create another thing. So that's what I mean, right?
I think like the speed which this AI disruption occurs is probably a thing that matters too, because like I imagine it's happening on faster and faster timescales. Like 5-10 years ago, you probably wouldn't imagine that we'd be having these discussions right now. Some people probably would, but I think that how fast it's going to actually hit multiple sectors of the economy simultaneously is going to be interesting. And then you sort of get this like can you train people fast enough when their sector gets affected before what they're trained on actually becomes obsolete too. And then it's basically like the thing that concerns me is like the fast takeoff AI scenario where like it happens faster than we can adjust in normal methods, and like regulatory apparatuses are like really slow at like handling like dangers that need to be dealt with. So like it might take Congress like 10 years to like take action to do anything for anybody if needed. And so like like when I got in, like I want to see strong AI, but I'm also like I want to see it like introduced like with as much care and
yeah, right now, not in 10 years, right? It's like we do that all the time. We did that with social network, we did that with internet itself. We just let it just go crazy, and that's yeah, we should not let it go. We should not let it go like this at all. So I think that, and I know a lot of people use argument, for example, factory workers and industrial revolution. First of all, if we have done something wrong in the past, that doesn't mean that it is, hopefully we can improve, right? We can not do that if we think that is a mistake, right? We can do it better this time. So I don't think that saying that, oh, industrial revolution make a lot of people put them out of work, but we survived, that's a good argument, because I hope that humanity we have progress enough to not do that again, or not make a mistake. It's a little strange. I'm not against this. It's a really cool idea, but I'm just saying that it's dangerous. So
yeah, and I agree with that. I think these things are tools that can be used for amazing and cool things, but they need to be aware of the way they impact our culture and our way of producing art. And when we don't think about these things, we end up trapped in norms and biases as a society, which are much more difficult to be aware of and escape from, I think. So, yeah.
And I think for those images that have better results, usually trained by other people's like artwork. So by just putting like some like artist name in your prompts will make the image look much better than the others. So I think that there is a copyright problem in there.
Yeah, there needs to be better regulations on that, better protection regulations for it.
Yeah, the copyright, the privacy issues also are a big thing, and people being used for, being depicted in horrific acts or whatever like that. There's a lot of other sort of very concrete legal issues.
Yeah, if you for example make offensive art, who is responsible for that, right?
Yeah.
Offensive art. That's what.
that was actually a pretty big topic between Stable Diffusion. What was the other one? The DALL-E 2. DALL-E 2 tried to make their data set not have a lot of controversial stuff in it, so it didn't generate bad stuff, but Stable Diffusion was less handholdy, and
Yeah, after a stable diffusion, open source their like model, and then there are so many like companies are trying to implement their like diffusion model into their robot. So you see there are a lot of things that kind of similar. If I go back to the result here, you see on the third one is made with stable diffusion, and you can see those are kind of like based on that, I suppose. If they are, the results are kind of similar, and then no matter how many times I generate, it will all give me the same sort of like lag, and then yeah, and where disco diffusion, you can see the smokes are really different, and then the Chinese one kind of like based on that, so you will see like there are styles that's kind of similar, but yeah, but
Yeah, so real artists are picky, very strict in their requirements, know what they want, and they will not accept the repetition, and so they will create their own art, right? that will create. But talking about tools, just to finish, and again, I think it's about Michelangelo. I don't remember when he came to be hired in one of the court in one like. The art was sponsored, state sponsored, but the state was whatever the Duke had, who had money. And they asked him, how do you prove that you are an artist? And he just drew with a chalk a perfect circle, years and years of training. And then we have tools to do that as perfect or much better still. The art didn't disappear, and we benefited from the tools. Hopefully the same happens here. Thanks, everyone. We will meet next Friday.